So I'm gonna go ahead and hit record right now. There we go. Hi, Alyssa. All right. So this is now recording. So welcome everyone to the Growing the Covenant Strategic Plan Release Forum. Special shout out to the Eastern Shore programs who are all here with us today. We're super excited that you can join us today. It is our third forum. And we have a few more coming up actually. So we kind of divided up these forums amongst the different regions of Maryland. And so this third one is with our Eastern Shore friends. I'm Sada. I will properly introduce myself with the rest of our team later on. But again, first and foremost, we're super glad that you all are here today. We appreciate you taking the time, out of your busy schedule. And it just really means a lot that y'all are here with us today. So what is this forum, right? Is this a big celebration virtually for our release of the strategic plan? And what our team today is going to be sharing with you all is what it can mean and what we hope this, can mean for the youth development sector across the state of Maryland. So the fact that you are here today, it shows that we have a common thread with the Mentor Maryland DC team, which is being super passionate about the direction of our youth, what we can learn from our youth, and making sure that they are fulfilled in all aspects. So again, if you have not done so already, please introduce yourself in the chat box. We want all folks to be able to network with one another, especially, with I'm sure you all are aware, like Eastern Shore programs, it's kind of hard to figure out like who's out there. Other programs are out there. So this is a great opportunity to be able just to connect one another. And just wanted to mention the last time we actually got together with Eastern Shore programs in person was January of 2020, literally right before the pandemic had hit. So I kind of want to say that we kind of predicted that this was going to happen and we were able to get Eastern Shore programs together. Sorry, that's a dark humor right there. But it was just great to know that these programs were able to connect before the pandemic hit and that they were still continuing that relationship while we're in the midst of this pandemic. Before we continue, I just want to quickly acknowledge the people that we have in this room. So Angel Perez, we work closely with him with his program YMCA of Chesapeake Bay. He's been doing TA for the past couple of years actually, and even excited to move on to our QPP as well. And then we have let's see who else do we have here. So we have Robin Boone. She is one of our technical assistants out in Eastern Shore. She's in Salisbury. She just put that in the chat box. Hello, Robin. And everyone else, like I said earlier, we're super excited. And unfortunately, sorry, I don't know everyone, personally on here, but again, like we're just very honored that you guys are here with us and excited to learn more about you and your program. So let's go to the next slide. So what is the purpose of this strategic plan release? So it's three different reasons. So one is just being able to share the excitement and having a plan. So I can speak for myself. I know, just working in this sector, I get caught up in a lot of just just regular day-to-day like stress and pressure, and also the excitement of it. And then sometimes I'm not even having the time to actually plan for something. And I'm sure you all probably feel the same way, or even the organization as a whole. So this is basically letting y'all know that we have a plan. And this strategic plan is, we want to share that with you all and to let y'all know that we're prepared so that we're not, kind of lost in like the day-to-day activities, and we'll be following this 5-year plan. The second purpose is to share with you our initial thinking behind the strategic plan, which, not only includes sharing our initial thoughts with you all that are here today, but also those who are not here with us and ways that you can get them involved, right? And we just want let y'all know, like, this strategic plan is not just a Mentor Maryland DC plan. So it is a big goal for the whole state of mentoring field. And we'll share those pathways throughout this session. The third, reasoning behind this purpose of our strategic plan is hearing from you all that are present today on additional ideas that you have, that you can make this plan a reality. So we've said this in our team many times before. We're aware that like not only one person or even one org can do everything alone. So to support this plan and support this mentoring movement, we want you all to help us, to assist us, to support us in any way that you all can contribute. So hopefully, I mean, not even hopefully, like I know this plan can become a reality if we're able to just collaborate all together. So that is the purpose of it. And I didn't even recognize actually one more person, Alyssa Talbert, who's with us today from our national headquarters, National Mentoring Partnership. So hello to you too, Alyssa. Thank you. So we will move on to Dakota, who will share a little bit about history of when we were known as Maryland Mentor, and we'll introduce our team and just overall aspect of the strategic plan.
Thank you, Sada. If we go to the next slide, we'll actually go right ahead and introduce our team. So those of us that are here today. Again, my name is Dakota Shamblin. I am the Program Outreach Vista here at Mentor Maryland, DC. I'm going to pass it to Antoine and let the rest of our team introduce themselves.
Thanks, Dakota. Hey, everybody. I'm Antoine Baggett. I'm the Baltimore City Schools Mentoring Vista here at Mentor MD DC. I'll pass it on to Olivia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Olivia James. I'm the Marketing and Communications Vista here at Mentor Maryland, DC. And then we'll end with Sada.
And hello, everyone. Like I said, I'm Sada Haile. I'm the Operations Manager of Mentor Maryland, DC. And I've been with Maryland Mentor since 2019. And before I introduce the two that are not here, Sadiq Ali, and actually I just introduced them real quick. So Sadiq Ali has been our founding executive director since 2018, and then Renee Angelo, we just got her in the spring of this year actually as our program manager, and right now we're actually recruiting a program manager for our DC site. So that is that. And then a quick shout out to our Vistas. So this month is actually their last month with us. They've been with us for a whole year, almost a whole year. So I just want to give you guys a shout out. You can go to the next slide.
Sada. Yeah. So if you don't already know about us, here is a little rundown of who we are. We are actually a regional affiliate to a larger national mentoring partnership that Sada alluded to. We have one of our very own, Alyssa Talbert, on here with us today. But there's about 26 to 27 of us nationwide, and we are the Maryland and DC regional affiliate. And we have a shared mission to increase the quality and quantity of mentoring relationships across the country and to close that mentoring gap. And we know programs can only do this when they feel supported and empowered through tools and resources. And so we fulfill that role through being a unified clearinghouse for trainings, for research, for public awareness, mentor recruitment, and advocacy. You know, we see ourselves as galvanizers of the mentoring and now DC mentoring movement, and we serve as community-based experts to create a statewide infrastructure. And so if we go to the next slide, a little bit more about what our pillars are, what really hold up everything that we do is our quality work, so training and professional learning for practitioners, our technical assistance and consulting through the NMRC, our quality assessments, our NQMS that we recommend for programs to do every 3 years, and our resource connections. Not only do we have resources, but we know other people who do. We have our quantity work, which is support with mentor recruitment, which I'll get into about our mentoring connector, as well as past campaigns that we've done to recruit volunteers for the programs that we support, as well as building capacities within school districts, building relationships with them, advocating for relationship-centered schools, overseeing the mentoring connector database, as I mentioned, as well as elevating the field. You know, we want to highlight voices from local mentoring field, as well as advocate for the practitioners and the programs that are actually doing that direct service work among legislators, among councils, so on and so forth, but as well as public awareness and field networking. And we can move on. So here are a little bit more of the actual resources we have. So like I said, we know people that have other resources as well. And that first link is mentoring.org. That's our national partner They have so much good stuff on there, so I highly recommend checking them out. They're a great resource library, as well as the National Mentoring Resource Center. They just updated their website. It's super easy to go on there. They have a resource assessment tool that could really help you navigate what to look for and where to go, as well as the Mentoring Connector. This is a place for you to help you recruit mentors, so you can put your program on there, and mentors as well as mentees can search for you based on location and certain criteria about the mentoring services that you provide. If you want more information about any of this, definitely follow up with us. I'll put my email in the chat. We also have the link to our events page. Anything that we do as far as trainings, town halls, roundtables, events like this, anything will be on that page, but you can also keep plugged in through our newsletter, so sign up for that as well. We have our Elements of Effective Practice for Mentoring, our EEP. This is the basis for a lot of the work we do, so if you haven't checked that out, this is all about best practices for mentoring. So about recruitment, about screening, about monitoring and support, about closure, matching, all of those things are really the basis of any mentoring program. So check it out. And our NQMS, our quality assessment that I talked about previously, as well as if you're just starting out or you and you need assistance with starting a mentoring program, we have modules for that. So there's a link for that as well. We can go next. And like I said, we have additional links to other resources. These slides will be given out, so you'll have these handy links as well, but there's supplements to the EEP as well. So you have peer mentoring, you have group mentoring, LGBTQ+, STEM, all those things can be found on our website as well as our nationals website, but these are just some quick links that you can check out. Next. Now I'm going to pass it on to Olivia.
Yes, so now we just wanted to show you guys this super cute video, in my opinion, that just reminds us of why we're so passionate about the work that we all do. So enjoy.
Sada, the sound isn't on. Hey, Sada.
Hey, Sada, could we play it again?
You want to play it again, you said?
Yeah, we couldn't hear the video.
Oh, I didn't hear. Okay, I didn't even see the chat. Sorry, y'all. Let's see.
No worries.
If you mentor me,
If you mentor me,
you are there for me.
I will miss fewer days of school.
If you mentor me,
If you mentor me,
if you listen, if you mentor me,
I'll be 55% more likely to go to college.
if you mentor me,
if you mentor me,
If you mentor me,
I'll be more likely to volunteer in my community. If you mentor, I'm less likely to start from drugs.
I'll be 81% more likely to play sports. I will be empowered.
I'll have a more equal chance to realize my dreams. If you listen,
I will have healthier relationships.
If you
mentor me, if you are there for me. One day, I'll become a mentor too. Become a mentor in real life.
I hope it worked this time.
Oh yeah, it did. It did. Super cute. Love the ending.
I want to play that again. Awesome.
Great. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. So as you guys know, the strategic plan is called Growing the Covenant, and we want to tell you guys a little bit about what that's about. We also want you to be able to read it at your own leisure. So I'm going to post a link in the chat to the strategic plan, and outside of this meeting, feel free to go over that. But yeah, so we're not going to read you. Sorry, what's that?
Sorry, Antoine, real quick. I was gonna say real quick, I'm kind of curious of how many of our attendees today actually read the strategic plan before joining us. So drop a 1 if you had the opportunity to read this report. If not, don't worry. Antoine just dropped the link, so you have still time on your own leisure to read that report. But let's see. Any ones? No one's read it. Okay, that's totally fine. Go ahead, Antoine.
Okay, no problem. So we're not going to read you each piece of the plan here, but we wanted to give you a high-level overview of our process, what went into the plan, and where we're going. And like Sada said, we want you to read it at your own leisure. So yeah, feel free to check out that link that we just posted in the chat. If we can go to the next slide, I'll talk about a bit about what the covenant means. So the covenant is the foundation. Our first sort of strategic plan was called Upholding the Covenant. This time it's Growing the Covenant. The term covenant is of Latin origin, convenire, meaning a coming together. It presupposes two or more parties who come together to make a contract, agreeing on promises, stipulations, privileges, and responsibilities. In political situations, it can be translated as a treaty. In a social setting, it means a lifelong friendship agreement, or it can refer to a marriage. The covenant referred to above were between two equal parties. This means that the covenant relationship was bilateral. The bond was sealed by both parties, vowing, often by oath, that each having equal privileges and responsibilities would carry out their assigned roles. So now I'm going to pass it on to Olivia, who's going to talk a bit about how we got here.
Yes. So how did we get here? So once again, we were refounded in 2018. We started up again, and we wanted to get a good sense of the different mentoring programs throughout Maryland, what their students needed, what they would have wanted from us. So we did the Maryland statewide mentoring listening tour in the summer of 2018, which was awesome. And that is what helped us put out Upholding the Covenant, State of Mentoring in Maryland 2008. And that was put out then in fall 2018. So that's how this all got started. And from that report, we used recommendations and feedback to inform our approach and activity for the first 2.5 years. But now we're in year 3 and we're like, okay, so what's next for us? What's our next 5-year plan? So we wanted a strategy that would guide passion in order for impact to be realized. And that's how we have gotten to our Growing the Covenant strategic plan. So in June and July of 2020, we did the Maryland State Mentoring Survey and the Mentor Maryland DC affiliate assessment, just once again to get a feel of who will be serving and what they would want from us. And then in September, October, our board set decision-making criteria for how we were going to expand into the DMV, because we knew we wanted to reach more and more people. So we're like, why not do DC expansion? And so we did that. And then in December 2020, we worked with our partners at Equivolve to analyze, the interviews that we did, the data we collected from the previous, from the June, July survey that we did, and to produce internal finding reports. And through those findings and reviewing all of that related to the expansion into the DMV, we decided to move forward with our expansion. And then from January to April, we were figuring out, okay, so what is this new Mentor Maryland DC? What is it going to look like? What is the impact going to be? What are our goals for the next 5 years for our new expansion? So we did that, and through a 2-day planning retreat with our team here and with Equivolve, we came together with the goals that we will later talk about today. And, we decided to merge, and we created this strategic plan. So, yeah. And now we just wanted to show you guys some words that were captured from the activity we did during that 2-day retreat that just reflected on the meaning and perception of what a mentor is. So we really feel that mentors are people that are supporters, they're friends, they're helpers. They challenge their mentee, they help provide them with different experiences, they give them connections. I'm sure this is a lot of stuff that you all feel that you do as mentors and that you hope your mentors are doing for those in your program. But still, feel free, let us know, what is one word you would use to describe what a mentor should do? and what it means to be a mentor. Just drop it in the chat. Empowerment, opportunity, wisdom, a shepherd, a coach, a listener, a friend.
And if you see your word in the word bubble, that's totally fine. You can go ahead and put that in the chat again.
Legacy, yes, I love that. Motivator, for sure. Let's see if we can get one more. One more? Okay. No worries.
It's either people are shy right now or it's just too early. The brain right now, it's totally fine. Cool, thank you, Olivia, for that. So 2 massive goals, right? And you're looking at these numbers, 500,000, 100 million. Like, what does that mean? And those numbers do seem daunting. I keep using that word. But at the end of this 5-year goal, we do want to be held accountable in supporting and making 500,000 mentoring matches across the state. So in the state of Maryland, there are 1.7 million young people age 18 and younger. And people think in percentage wise, that's 22% of young people that are 18 and younger in the state of Maryland. So our goal is to have 500,000 mentoring matches. And how we're gonna do this, we wanna be able to create different forms of relationships, from schools to group mentoring relationships to even drawing in corporate folks. So this will also include trainings of potential mentors to work closely with program, to even working closely with program leaders. And, like we have been saying before, this is not just what Maryland or Mentor Maryland can do alone. I did say we want it to be held accountable, but again, we can make this number possible with the support of our mentoring organizations in Eastern Shore and as well as across the state of Maryland. Our second goal here is 100 million in new mentoring investment. So we are all seeing major spending from the federal government, and I personally don't really like getting to the deep talk about politics, but imagine if that spending was diverted to the mentoring movement, the youth support work. And our goal with this is that, we want to make sure that, the funding can be in a leveled playing field, and just want to make sure that this goal is as equitable as possible. So how can we reach these 2 goals? Again, it is with the support of you all here today and other stakeholders and your colleagues. And we really want to know, like, how we can align our efforts, who we should be aligned with. So that's on you all to be able to share that information with us. Of course, we have our own, different parties and stakeholders that we can outreach, but we also want to hear from you all who we can align with. So the next slide here, Dakota will be able to explain the priorities of our strategic plan.
Yes, so we have 3 priorities here, and in the next slide, I'll go a little bit more into detail about how we're going to reach these priorities. But our first priority is advocating for systems level change, and how we're going to do that is we really want to build relationships with legislators across the state, and just advocate for mentoring at a systems level. Our second priority is expanding mentoring programs, because we know the mentoring gap is very real. 1 in 3 young people do not have a supportive, caring adult outside of their family. And some people do not even have that supportive, caring adult within that family. And our third priority is shifting the narrative around mentoring. We want to, mentoring is for every child. And youth positive outcome shows us that, when youth are connected to a positive, caring adult, those positive outcomes increase. And also, we want youth voice to be a part of the narrative. We want mentees telling their stories, as well as mentors telling their stories. And we want that to be a part of the narrative around mentoring. And we want youth engagement to be a part of all 3 of these priorities, especially around existing mentoring programs and the new mentoring programs that will come to be in this next 5 years. Fund development is a huge one. This is what we've been hearing not only in our strategic plan forums, but also the town halls that we've been holding. Fund development is a big one. We're in need of that. So if we go to the next one, we'll get into.
Yeah, and before we get to the next one, actually, with priority one, advocate for systems level change. I just want to give recognition to Senator Addie Eckhart, who's on this call with us today. So thank you for joining us today, and we're excited to hear any words that you'd like to share, later on through the session.
Yes, so the what, how are we going to do that? And I've already kind of mentioned, identifying and solidifying those relationships with policy champions, creating policy and advocacy platforms. A big one is we want to formalize a network of quality mentoring programs. So we know the programs that are out there, we form connections with them, but we want to form connections amongst you all and to build that strong network that we can bring to those policy champions and show that we do have a strong network. And then for expanding mentoring programs, we want to expand those school-based programs, advocate for those relationship-centered schools, expand faith-based programs within the state, as well as increase Black and Brown serving grassroots programs. For shifting the narrative, we want to develop key messaging for changing the narrative. Again, we want youth voice to be the center of that, hearing their stories, as well as communication plans for changing the narrative and incorporating, again, youth experience and youth voice into the campaign. And how that all looks, we'll look in the next slide. So a formula for success, how are we going to create that stronger mentoring landscape and create that stronger network of mentoring programs? Well, the first being through accessible technical assistance and resources, through which we already have, and we want to make that more accessible to programs. We want to make programs aware that that is out there and that they can access that right now, as well as clear measures and standards of quality, meaningful evaluations, and coordination and inclusive network building. So through our events, as you guys come to our events, definitely networking amongst one another. We want to make that network happen. And I believe that is it for that. And I think we're going to go into our, any initial reactions and questions.
You're muted.
Yep. Okay. So now that we've given you just a brief overview of our brief, but I hope hopefully substantial overview of our strategic plan, we just want to get your initial reactions. What questions can our team answer about the process or our priorities? Because in our next session, we want you to get in the game.
Thank you, Anton, for initiating that. I was going to say, so feel free to either unmute yourself or raise hand. You can even ask the question or any thoughts in the chat box as well. So Mark is asking, will there be any funding available? So I'm assuming funding being diverted to mentoring organizations that we work with. Just want to get clarity.
Yeah, hey, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, thanks. Hey there, how you doing? No, I was just wondering, with this, through Mentoring Maryland, will there be grants or monies to help mentoring programs in existence for supporting your strategic plan?
Yeah, so actually, I don't know if you or anyone else on this call sign up for our newsletter. So every Friday, well, at least the first Friday, we do share different grant opportunities. And this is widely searched with different types of themes that we share with our mentoring organizations. So that is how we are sharing that. We're also trying to work in receiving funding so that we can distribute, whether that is for our programs that are in the QPP or our own future type of grants or scholarships to programs. And again, like we said earlier, we want it to be an equitable type of playing field when it comes to funding. And Mark is asking, how can I receive this newsletter? Olivia, if you can drop the link for that, and for everyone else, you can sign up through that. That's a great question, though. Funding is always an important aspect in this world, in this mentoring world. Any additional questions, overall thoughts? I know everyone hasn't had the opportunity to read the report, but once you do have that time to read it, feel free to email us if you need questions or thoughts, come, or even after this session, an hour later, as you're thinking about this 1 hour call and it just comes to mind, feel free to email us with those questions. All right. I'm just going to say, I think we're probably doing a great job in describing the strategic plan report, that there aren't any questions. So we can go ahead and move on. But again, feel free throughout this session to just drop in questions as they come along.
Great. So we now have just a brief activity we want to do with you guys. Now that we've kind of gone over the priorities of the strategic plan, we want you guys to help us brainstorm for how we can achieve these priorities. I'm being informed that we are not doing a breakout room. We are instead going to complete the activity as a whole group. But the fundamentals of the activity have not changed. We want you guys to help us brainstorm ways, means, ideas for achieving the priorities that Dakota outlined just a few minutes ago. Allow me, if I can, to share my screen.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Here, I can just answer your question. I was going to type it, but I can just answer it verbally, Gabrielle. So yes, there is stuff that you can post on social media. And if you want to drop your email, I can just send you like our social media package for what to share, our toolkit. So it's just some flyers to put up, some suggested messaging. I really do appreciate you wanting to share on your social media. But yeah, I'm happy to send you those materials. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, and if there are any more other questions, just feel free to post them in the chat. Now we're going to move on to just a quick discussion activity. Like I said before, we discussed the priorities of the strategic plan, and now we want you guys to help us think of ways that we can actually achieve these priorities. Priority 1 is systems level advocacy. Priority 2 is expanding mentoring programs. And priority 3 is shifting the narrative. I suppose we can start with priority 1. Does that sound good for everybody? Great. So priority 1 is systems level advocacy, which means to identify and solidify relationships with policy champions, to create policy and to create a policy and advocacy platform, and to formalize a network of quality mentoring programs. So what are some ways that we think that we can foment systems level advocacy for mentoring?
This is Mark Thompson,
Yeah,
Comico County. I'll put my picture on here. Hey, when you talk about system level changes, policymakers, are you talking about boards of ed? I'm in the school system, so are you referring to how do we get this information to our school board members who make changes in the school, our local politicians, letting them understand? One thing that was changed we did a few years ago, I gotta see if we can do that. When I spoke to our county executive at the time, he allowed government employees an hour a week paid time to be mentors in the school system. We have to get that. Now we have a new county executive. Was that the kind of policy change that you're referring to?
That's absolutely correct. So everything that you had mentioned, and I'm sure other folks have different ideas of what policy change is. So that's absolutely that. And I actually did share a link so everyone can live share their thoughts and what they like, what you had just shared, the different ideas of policy change in these sticky notes so that everyone can be able to see this.
Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, all of the above. I in particular work primarily with school districts. A lot of what I've done over the past year has been trying to connect with and with Board of Education members, with superintendents and principals, and just encourage them to employ a relationship-centered approach in their schools. And mentoring, I think, is where that starts. But programs like the one you mentioned are, yeah, that's what we like to hear, and we're hoping to see more of those and encourage the implementation of more of those. Sauda, did you say that you gave the group access to? Yeah, so feel free to add any sticky notes. Otherwise, like I can certainly add the sticky notes for you. What do we think in terms of systems level advocacy?
This just came to my mind. So sorry, Antoine, you might have to type this. But I was just thinking, maybe if you do if there's a way for programs to kind of do like a learn about your governor or learn about your state leader or something like that. So it's like the people that are making the policies feel like we're, highlighting them and showing like, oh, you could become like them too. And then by doing programs like that or field trips like that, or I guess it would be virtual, but that could then encourage them to want to, because of course then, your program, sorry, they're mowing my lawn. Your program would do your whole elevator pitch and make sure that they knew who you guys were, what you stood for. And that would then encourage whoever you met with or showed off to want to get involved, see the importance of your program, see what you all do, and hopefully want to put funding or whatever toward the mentoring movement. So yeah, learn about, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea, and I think it'll give our representatives face time with our programs, and that's what we want. We want to cut out the middleman, make them get them to talk to each other. What else, guys? Systems level advocacy. What does that mean to you in terms of mentoring in the state of Maryland, and how can we achieve it?
So Alyssa had put into the chat box, mayors for mentoring could be an easy way to identify policy champions in your area. I like that. I like that title, Mayors for Mentoring.
That's Mayors, M-A-Y-O-R-S.
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm gonna mention something about mayors for mentoring. Okay. I think Mayors for Mentoring is an initiative or campaign from. By the way, I'm Angel Perez for everyone. Good morning. Mayors for Mentoring is an initiative or campaign for mentors, national mentors. And I received this morning 2 emails, and we have 2 mayors in Carolina County who already are part of that particular initiative. Talking about advocacy, I have to say, work really good for a program because they not only are involved to spread the word about the benefits and the importance to have a mentor, but also they involve most part of the staff at the town hall to spread the word and help us to, be out there in the community and talk about the benefits of mentoring. So I think I agree with the lady. Mayors for Mentoring is a really good resource for advocacy.
Great. Awesome. Well, we have 3 priorities that we want to go over with you guys in this discussion session. I think Sada has made the Jamboards available to you guys. So if you guys think of another priority or another idea in priority 1 that you want to add, just feel free to add it. But as a group, we're going to move on to priority 2, which is expanding mentoring programs. So we want to expand mentoring programs, meaning expanding school-based programs. Like I said, that's kind of my domain. Expand faith-based programs. That's in mosques, synagogues, churches, etc. And increasing Black and Brown serving grassroots programs in our communities. What ideas do we have? What ideas do you guys are you guys dying to share regarding the expansion of mentoring programs?
I think I have something to say.
Is Angel? Angel?
Yes, it's Angel again.
What's up?
I think the first line said expand school-based program. Our program is not on the school, but and Nicole Fisher is part of this meeting today. We work really close with the Carolina County Public School here in Carolina County, and we are looking forward to have this middle school mentoring group at one of the middle schools in our county. I think working really close with the schools and try to have some kind of components or initiatives between the program and the school is really beneficial for both, and especially for the kids. In our case, our middle school mentoring group is going to focus on kids who have a lot of absence during the year or have a lot of refers to the guidance, and to try to keep them focused on school and help them to graduate for middle school and help them to that transition to high school as well. But having not only a mentoring group inside the school, but other kind of initiative or components, maybe a community project between the mentoring program and the school. You know, stuff like that, I think is going to help. And having more information from Maryland mentors and how we can create those initiatives or programs is going to be great.
You know, it's Mark again from Wacomico. I think this year, and especially in the school, the emphasis around the state is on attendance, since we had a pretty miserable attendance from last year. In fact, I'm working on that information. I think it was in your programs about that success mentors pairing. So anything you have working with attendance works and mentoring, I think that's going to be the big push this year throughout the state, at least in Maryland, for even the Black and Brown students, but low-income students. How are we going to get students more involved in school besides the reading, writing, arithmetic? But it's going to be more in relationship building, making them want to come to school this year since they had a whole year off.
Can I chime in?
Of course.
This is Senator Addie Eckert, and I would just agree with Mark. I think personal relationships are critical. And if you are able to find each individual's kind of claim to fame or what they do well and help connect over that.
Oh, Senator Eckert, I think you're on mute.
Is that better?
Yep.
There, good. Thank you very
I'm not
much.
hearing anything.
Oh, no.
Nothing?
No, we're able to hear you, Senator
We can
Eckhart.
hear you.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was just going to say it is that relationship building and finding out what each person has to offer, finding something of interest. So you're kind of capturing, if you will, the attention and the interest and the curiosity of the students that I find is really helpful. And that's where some of the specialty groups, whether it's sports, whether it's music, whether it's drama, whether it's arts kind of activity, really has an appeal for young folks.
Yeah, great. So we want to see more specialty programs, programs that have sort of specific goals and priorities for the students, and also programs that are curated in a sense for mentees, not just students, but mentees, because we're talking about community programs as well, for the mentees, assets, curiosity, goals, etc. How about faith-based programs? What do we think about what experience do we have working within faith-based programs, and what ideas do we have for the expansion of them?
Maybe like strengthening relationships with your local churches, synagogues, mosques, just places of worship with their leaders, and probably, you know, presenting. It would probably involve like presenting to them, okay, what does your program do, the impacts it's had on the youth that you've served, and why you believe implementing it at their place of worship would be beneficial to them. So just getting them even more excited, because I'm sure they do mentoring within as well, or some sort of it, but getting them excited to want to get in like a more specific mentoring program. Because I also feel places of worship there, I think they're good at knowing how to fundraise. So getting them excited about doing that as well to boost up that program would be a good idea. Yeah, and I'm gonna keep thinking.
Yeah, just going off that, I know a lot of, I grew up on the Eastern Shore, and I know there's a lot of Young Life programs already kind of happening where there's big groups of people every, I think, a couple times a month they meet up and they have meetings with big groups of people. And I think they have presenters and they have people come in and speak with them. And I think they may have done that virtually. So just really already using those youth groups that are already established and maybe introducing and reaching out to them, asking if they can present for a week, or if the students want to get involved and maybe being a mentor later on, and just kind of getting the information out there, because that's the group I think that would be really interested in being mentors for students.
Yeah, Nate, I'd just jump in. As Gabrielle said, those programs are sprinkled throughout the shore.
Yeah, we have in Wicomico an excellent faith-based partnership. Dr. George Whitehead leads it outside the school system, and we pair faith-based partners with each of the schools. And we meet quarterly, and they provide resources, school supplies, maybe like letters to the teachers who are sick, just encouraging them. And also they serve as mentors in the school. So it's good to have that partnership with the outside faith-based community.
A quick question. Is there an age that people need to be a mentor? Like, would it be like, are high school students allowed to be mentors to elementary students, or do they have to be like a certain age requirement? I didn't review the packet yet, so I didn't really know that.
Great question, Gabrielle. So there's different programs that have, just different stipulations. So what you're describing is peer-to-peer mentoring. So high school students to middle schools. Most of the times, those high school students were once middle school students that had high school students as mentors, right? So it's like a transition. So that is allowed. There's other programs who just focus on having adults 18 and over as a mentor. Just different programs with just different, rules on that.
And then we had fifth grade mentor, elementary school kids. The fifth graders who are moving on and are successful to sixth grade and middle school, they mentored inside the school the like the second and third graders.
That's awesome. I think that's the youngest I've heard of the fifth graders being mentors. That's pretty awesome, though.
That's great. I have another question. Have you all done an inventory of all of the programs that are possibilities for youth mentoring?
Programs that are currently not youth mentoring programs?
No, that are.
That are. So go ahead.
So, I mean, have you inventoried like all of the Ys? I mean, the Y of Chesapeake has a lot of kids programs and they do a lot of individual work. And then you have Young Life, you have the Boys and Girls Club, you have all the church youth groups. And then you have the more specific community center type programs that might be going on. I just didn't know if somebody had pulled together an inventory, a list of all of those existing programs and done an analysis of, what's working, what's not working, and then borrowed from those programs.
That is a great point, Santana Carr. So one of the things that we did do inventory on was actually our statewide survey, which was focused on the mentoring programs. And then as far as what you're speaking about, youth programs are not so much having the formal title of a mentoring organization. That's something that we're in the process of doing. And the way that we're doing that is actually encouraging these programs to apply for technical assistance so that they can move forward to becoming formal mentoring organizations. And then we can assist them, whether that's, funding or just having the elements of effective practice for mentoring be part of their mission. But as far as having a full inventory on those programs, we do not have that. But the only thing we have focused on are the mentoring organizations across the state of Maryland.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have a ton of time, guys. We do have one more slide that we want to go over in this discussion. But last but not least, in our expanding mentoring programs priority is increasing Black and Brown serving grassroots programs. This is really important to us. If we have any ideas that we want to share, now is the time to do it.
I'd say probably maybe having like programs throughout the area, kind of do something similar to our newsletter where it's like, you send out a newsletter with all these different grant opportunities. That way that they can, apply, and hopefully that can help assist them. Another thing that came to mind is just creating, for the last priority, it was like basically creating a network for all of these programs. So like just letting them all become aware of each other, where they're located, all that stuff. And so that way they can work together. Because sometimes it's like, it's great to have a lot of different programs, but a lot of different programs require a lot of different money. So if you all are able to come together and do, group things, collaborate, whatever it may be, that may also be a way to help them continue to become a bigger program, get more funding, stuff like that. someone, Danielle just put in the chat, make connections with different cultural organizations and clubs. Yeah, for sure.
In fact, there's a webinar tomorrow. It's coming from Maryland State Department of Education on transforming transforming the culture of Maryland schools for Black boys. This came out just August 2nd. So with the new superintendent, state superintendent, looks like there's going to be a focus for the Maryland schools education program.
Okay, great.
I can send this link to you.
Yeah, please, you could drop it in the chat. That'd be awesome.
Great. Thanks for all your ideas. We have one more slide that we want to go over with you guys regarding priority 3, shifting the narrative. So shifting the narrative means developing key messaging for changing the narrative, a communications plan for changing the narrative, and incorporating youth experience and youth voice into our campaign. In terms of shifting the narrative about mentoring, what ideas do we have?
So I believe, it was winter this year, January this year, Mentor, when we were known as Maryland Mentor, we provided a training and it was a youth panel where they were sharing their narrative. And one of the things that we learned in this is that sometimes organizations, whether they are aware of this or not, they have a certain narrative of their youth when they're trying to receive funding. So, and it's sometimes that, the sad story, et cetera, but sometimes what would that story be, right, if it was directly from the youth? And if these youth were actually reading these narratives, these applications to grants, would guardians and parents allow these youth to be in these programs? So that's just a thought right there. So shifting that narrative, what does that look like to you all today? How would you shift that narrative?
Just another one that I liked when you had mentioned the, I think it was you, Mark, who mentioned like the 5th graders mentoring the 2nd graders. I just think it's kind of great to shift the narrative in the sense that your mentor doesn't always have to be somebody like twice your age or something like that. So just putting out more graphics of more peer-to-peer mentoring or, diverse mentor pairs, stuff like that. But that's more of like marketing, which would make sense by that's the idea. Hosting trainings on how to do this, so that other programs or other local programs can hop on board with you with doing this and understand how.
What are some current things that you all are doing with your programs right now to shift the narrative? Robin Boone is saying targeted awareness on the shore. She, as many other Eastern Shore folks, also do not see this. Okay. So we're going to be mindful of everyone's time. We can move on from this, but again, thank you all for sharing your thoughts during this brainstorm. Like I've been saying multiple times already, that Mentor Maryland DC cannot make the strategic plan possible with us just alone, with our 6-member team. This is an effort from you all throughout Eastern Shore, throughout the state of Maryland, to make this plan possible. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And as I'm doing that, based on this like brainstorm, what is one thing you can learn today, or that you can do later today, or even first thing tomorrow to support this plan? You can either unmute yourself, or if it's just a couple sentences, even one word, what is one thing that you can do later today or first thing tomorrow to support this plan? Thank you, Mark. Discuss with my school system coordinators. That is super important. And feel free, Mark, and this goes out to everyone else also, if you want us present in these meetings when you are discussing this with coordinators or colleagues, we can be part of that conversation. We can set up a meeting and share anything that you would want us to share, in addition to the strategic plan, in addition to all the work that Mentor Maryland DC does. So feel free to contact us if you want us present. Robin is saying, use the media packet on my social media platforms to bring greater awareness to formal mentoring. And social media platforms are always tricky, right? You're trying to figure out, what audience are focusing on, whether it's IG or Facebook, right? And so on. So that is a tricky one. We have our great marketing communications, Vista Olivia James, who can also guide you with that, Robin, and anyone else who wants to focus on that media awareness.
Sarah, question: do you still have mentoring business roundtable? Is that still through you?
So yeah, so that was the one that I had mentioned that we had with Eastern Shore. Winter of 2020, they were all in person, these roundtables, and we are figuring out how we can do that virtually, virtual roundtables. That is in the books.
Is that the one where the business leaders came into the school? That's one.
So,
they came in and
this one. So maybe we may be speaking about different events. This one was inviting different mentoring programs across Eastern Shore and having roundtables and discussing different ideas and how we can, just better expand and support programs. But we can speak a little bit offline. I can put my email on here and we can make that possible. If you thought it was a great idea in the past, we can definitely bring that back. So I will pass it on to, are there any additional questions before we do some closing and, just last remarks? Questions or thoughts? You guys have been asking great questions. The brainstorm has been super effective. Awesome. So I'll pass it back on to Antoine.
Great. Yeah, thanks everybody. It's been a really great session. We hope that you'll read our strategic plan if you haven't already. I'm going to post this link one more time in the chat. Open that, download that, give it just 20 minutes to an hour of your time. We worked really hard on it and we want to get you guys involved as much as possible. Speaking of which, we just want to give you some ideas for how you can join us on this mission. For your program, you can use Maryland Mentor DC's no-cost services to continuously improve, including becoming a part of the Mentor Maryland DC Quality Program Partners. If you're an individual, you can become a mentor and encourage others to as well. where you can become a champion and share your story. If you're a systems leader or policymaker, you can advocate for efforts that support and increase resources for mentoring and help amplify messaging to shift the marriage, or sorry, I don't know why I said marriage. Help amplify messaging to shift the narrative about who mentoring is for. And if you're a funder, or if you're on the side of philanthropy, you can invest in mentoring programs and the infrastructure necessary to support them and develop mentoring programs within your organization. We want you to join us. Just a few acknowledgements. Sincere thank you to all our program partners who completed a survey or participated in an interview. All of our statewide stakeholders, we sought you out and you hopped right on board. The board of directors, affiliate staff, our funders for continuing to support this movement and movement building work. And finally, mentees and mentors across our region for embodying this daily covenant. They're the sort of foundation for all of this. Thank you to all of you.
So if you all want to make sure to keep up with what we have going on, just whether it's with our strategic plan, upcoming events, what other program partners that we are with got going on, do follow us on social media at Mentor MDDC. It's that on all platforms. And if you want to go to the next one, to subscribe to our newsletter as well. We have not only in our newsletter what we have going on, we have what's going on throughout the Maryland DC mentoring community. We have this week, I believe, is our grants funding newsletter. So definitely make sure to subscribe. We will be sending that out Friday morning. We send them out every Friday morning. And then we also have, following that one, what we have going on, and then just the all-inclusive. So yeah, definitely subscribe to our newsletter. We send out reminders for events and just keep you guys up to date on all the cool things going on in the community.
I just want to mention one thing too, to our program partners that are on here today. We want to advertise any events, trainings that you may be having within your program. So once you subscribe to our newsletter, you'll see an email where you can drop those events or trainings, etc. And we'll post those on there. So Eastern Shore programs, mentors and mentees, etc. can be part of this. So just want to make sure y'all are aware of that.
Awesome. Thank you, Sada. Also, once again, please do download and read our new strategic plan. That way you can get a better understanding of what we covered today, as well as what we didn't have a chance to go over. And so that you can utilize our plan to either figure out what is the next steps for your program, and or how you'd like to explain what we're trying to do for the whole Maryland DC community to the programs around you, as well as to school boards, to policymakers, to whoever. So Antoine had dropped that link. Just make sure to visit our website and learn more and download that. Also, next week, we have this awesome conference going on, the Maryland United for Youth Conference 2021. Our theme this year is Reimagining Resilience. We have so many awesome presenters, workshops happening. It is going to be August 12th and 13th. That is Thursday and Friday. Tickets are still available, so go ahead and snatch them up while you can. And it is free admission for young people. So encourage also the students in your programs and in your schools to attend with you. This is going to be a great conference. I'm really looking forward to it. And we want as many people there as possible so we can have as much discussion and conversation and just ideas going around. So definitely get your tickets for that today. Sada dropped the link for where you can purchase them. And then last but not least, we just wanted to remind you that as you read our new strategic plan, we want you to both see yourself in it already, but also to ask yourself, how else can I support this movement to support young people? To be a part of a covenant, like we talked earlier, means to take an oath, a pledge, and to make an undying promise or die trying to make it so. But yes, so please just read our strategic plan and envision yourself, what you can do for it, what your program can do for it, what your community can do to make these goals happen. But thank you guys so much. It is 11:16 now. Thank you guys so much for being here today at this forum, for being active, for participating, for sharing. We really enjoyed this and had some great feedback.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Super honored to be able to be in this virtual room for an hour and 15 minutes. But before we let y'all just disperse to what you need to do for the rest of Wednesday, are there any questions, thoughts, anything that we can quickly cover? Well, there seems to be nothing. My internet might be frozen, but all right.
I just want to say thank you guys for all your support, and your commitment, provide different kind of resources for all. So thank you so much for that.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And again, read that strategic plan when you have the opportunity to do so. And email us if you have any questions as you read that through that plan. Thank you all. Thank you.